Hello everyone, I have a new case for you today, straight from the files of BBR Investigations. If you are in the UK and you are into cryptids, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, that kind of thing, you will have heard of Bolam Lake, because a number of witnesses have come forward in the past who have seen a very tall human kind of creature there. Now, I've had a new witness come forward, and this account is quite harrowing because it actually talks of the creature chasing people back to their bikes in the car park. And it came in from a chap called Mick Brown, and he said, "Hi, Deborah. Something's really bugging me at the moment because I came across a post on Google by someone who witnessed the thing at Bolam Lake, and it chased him, and he said it was built like an Olympic athlete. Finding this report has made me want to share something that happened to me when I was at Bolam. What that man said about the Olympic athlete is rung so true, and it's also something that happened to me in the same area. The thing that I saw was fast, so fast and powerful, even the scrub, bushes, branches, and rhododendrons just shattered around it as it came into the open and ran full tilt towards me and my friends. I was 19 back when this happened, so it was 1985. I was out with my friends, we were on our bikes. We'd gone up to Bolam for the day out on a picnic. I remember being a bit annoyed because one of our group had come up with the idea to go there, and his reasoning was, it's not far. It was bloody miles, Deb, and it kept raining as we journeyed towards our destination, so I was just getting soaked. Anyway, we eventually arrived and pulled into the car park. There's some sort of hut or toilet block which we stood our motorcycles next to. Nothing looked out of the ordinary, but I was immediately on edge and I couldn't place it. But hey-oh, just shrugged it off. So off we went. We walked to the left, tracking along the edge of the lake, which was on my right. There seemed to be a rough, trodden footpath, so we followed it for some distance. It seemed to get dark under the trees, and I remember thinking something really doesn't feel right. I felt as if I was being watched the whole time we were walking in there. And eventually we broke off the trail and went down to the water's edge. We spread out a blanket, ate our sandwiches, and had a cigarette, etc. We were eating and talking, and we'd been there a while, when way off to the left in the distance, I could hear something loud, and it was sort of crashing about in the bushes, but it seemed a long way off. But I remember the hair going up on my neck. I stood up and I looked around, but as I backed away from my friends, the noise was getting closer. The whole situation felt angry and wrong, and I said to my mates, "Can you hear that?" So they stopped and listened, and they dismissed it. And it got louder, as it was definitely coming towards us. I said to them, "Hey, that's coming towards us." And they were really impatient with me. All of a sudden, whatever this thing was, it burst into a clearing nearby, making a horrible sound. It seemed to be dark, indifferent to the dark around it. I could see dark movement. I couldn't make it out, but there was something very large in there, but it defied any definition I could give it. I freaked and ran, and this thing followed me. It was so fast. It came roaring out of the trees and set off after us, and by now my mates had got up and they were running away as well. We could hear branches and foliage that was splintering around it as it charged after us. One of my mates, who had not really heard anything, suddenly went sprinting past me and he screamed, "It's coming, don't look back." We reached the car park and I remember praying my motorcycle would kick over and start straight away, and to this day I am thankful that it did. Whatever this thing was, it was massive. It was really huge. And then this thing burst right into the open and we were able to tear out of the car park. I was some miles down the road before I realised I still had my helmet on my arm, so I pulled over and put it on. My mates pulled in behind me and we were shouting and laughing and in shock, all at the same time. Even to this day, we have never ever talked about it. Whatever that was, it was fast, really fast and powerful. I felt like it was almost like the pull to stand still and look at it was really overwhelming. I had to fight against it, snap out of it and run. It made a low, horrible roaring sound, followed by a high-pitched kind of whine. I just remember trying to look at it, and it sort of swallowed the light around it. It was perfectly camouflaged, and yet the projection of outright rage and hatred that came from it was like a thump in the guts, and that's what broke the spell, allowing me to run. This event was back in 1985, and I was 19 at the time, and I've never ever gone back there, and I never will. It's hard to describe, but it was definitely tall, but not massive like a lumbering beast. It was limber, and it could just stride over and through anything in its path with ease. It didn't move like a man, and I am convinced it was definitely not a man. I can't explain it, but it was almost like the light was bent around the space it occupied, somehow making it seem much darker than it was, like a shadow. This really happened to me this day. I can still picture it, and I shudder to think really what would have happened if I'd just stood there like I felt I was compelled to do. To date, all of the reports at Bolam Lake encircle the lake itself. Neil Robson also saw a dark figure at Bolam, as did his friends when they were fishing there in 2003. And in the same year, a lady and her son also saw the creature for herself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the corridor between North Yorkshire all the way up to the Northumberland border and see what reports I got between 1985 and 2003 that could possibly tie into that creature. And I'll obviously bring you more on that. But for now, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will be back with another quick new report. If you're interested in reports like this, just become a YouTube member or sign on to my Patreon, because as the reports come in brand new, they go on there first, and then it'll take me like a week or 10 days to get it around so that it's out there in an article on YouTube. There's also other exclusive videos that you don't get on YouTube. But you get them eventually for free, so don't worry if it's not something you can do. For now, you could just click like, share this video, or make a comment down below, because that really helps with YouTube's algorithms. So have a lovely weekend, and I'll be back next week. Good night, everyone.